This girl is a superstar. I've been saying it for years. I keep telling everybody she's the Steph Curry of women's basketball, college or pro. She is a superstar. I had the pleasure of doing an event with her on campus at Iowa a few months ago. I went there for my man Mark Shapiro, and I had a blast. She and I were on a panel together. She's a wonderful, wonderful young lady, incredibly poised, but this woman is the nation's leading scorer, averaging 31.5 points per game, shooting 40% from threes. She's hitting at least 5 3-pointers per game. She is elite.
The WNBA has just been confronted with a hard reality. Caitlin Clark has become the league's golden goose. She's reportedly raking in $10 million through a combination of contracts, endorsements, and bonuses. While this has some WNBA players feeling frustrated, the question remains, are they just jealous? Or is there a legitimate reason for concern?
It's because I'm hearing if y'all don't give us what we want, we sitting out.
That's a possibility.
Before Caitlin Clark joined the WNBA, the league had been battling to gain mainstream attention. Annual revenue was stuck around $200 million, and the WNBA relied significantly on financial support from the NBA.
Well, Caitlin Clark hugging her family, her brothers, Blake and Colin, her father Brent, her mother Ann, and heading to the podium. She is officially a member of the Indiana Fever after has decorated a collegiate career.
On average, WNBA games saw around 6,500 fans in attendance, while merchandise sales were just a fraction of what the NBA generated, leaving the league mostly out of the spotlight. TV ratings, including for the WNBA Finals, struggled to surpass 1 million viewers. Player salaries were capped at roughly $240,000 per year for max contracts, and only a handful of star players managed to land lucrative endorsement deals. In short, the league was just scraping by with NBA subsidies, not thriving. Then Caitlin Clark entered the picture. The moment she declared for the draft, WNBA numbers exploded. The draft itself saw a record-breaking 2.45 million viewers, making it the most watched in history. The Indiana Fever saw their ticket sales soar by more than 400%, with their home opener selling out in no time. Even road games featuring Clark quickly sold out. Other WNBA teams are reaping the rewards just by having Caitlin Clark on their roster. Merchandise sales skyrocketed, with Clark's jerseys flying off the shelves, making her the top-selling rookie in WNBA history. As for TV ratings, the Indiana Fever's preseason game against the Dallas Wings even outperformed NBA playoff games on ESPN.
Time winding down. Are they going to get the ball up in time? Clark for the win! She does it time and time again, the 40-piece, and walks off with the W.
Listen, logo threes, it's her signature. That is the most Caitlin Clark way to win a game.
Caitlin Clark has turned around every metric the WNBA once struggled with. Some players have voiced frustration, questioning why Caitlin is earning so much while veteran stars aren't seeing similar pay. But let's be honest, Caitlin Clark is likely the reason WNBA players are finally on track for the pay raises they've long fought for. In fact, several teams have already made enough money to upgrade their facilities, secure state-of-the-art flying charters, private jets, and offer massive bonuses. She's single-handedly driving millions in additional revenue to the league. Sponsors are finally taking the WNBA seriously thanks to her star power, and networks are paying higher broadcasting fees, all because fans want to watch Caitlin Clark. Let's not lose sight of the bigger picture. The WNBA has spent years fighting for better pay and more attention. Now that Caitlin Clark is bringing both, some players seem more focused on envy than on progress. Caitlin Clark is the biggest thing to happen to the WNBA, hands down. She's not just a rookie, She's the reason the league is finally in mainstream conversations. Yet somehow, the WNBA expects her to play for a modest $75,000 a year. That's less than what many people earn in a typical desk job.
Redirect a pass, Clark, oh my, from Schenectady. Clark with, and drains it, my goodness. Because she's how sick she was. Clark, she's possessed.
How will she go for history?
Nike gave Caitlin Clark a massive $28 million a year, 8-year deal, but even that seems like a bargain for what she brings to the game. Meanwhile, some WNBA players who have struggled to capitalize on opportunities or been caught up in drama are demanding higher pay. If anyone in this league deserves a raise, it's Caitlin Clark. She should be earning based on the WNBA's revenue percentages, not stuck with a lowball rookie contract. Let's put this into perspective. WNBA veterans like A'ja Wilson, who've been in the league for years, haven't been able to generate the kind of buzz Caitlin Clark has. Yet, she earns around $240,000 per year. Caitlin Clark, the biggest star the WNBA has ever seen, is playing on a rookie salary of just $75,000. The league has never seen a player like her. Every time she hits the court, she breaks records, fills arenas, and takes the sport to new heights. And yet, despite all her achievements, there are still people trying to discredit her.
It's gonna be that easy. So will Caitlin Clark be a good pro? Absolutely. Will Caitlin Clark come into the WNBA and do what she's doing right now? Immediately? Absolutely not. Not gonna happen.
Okay. Not on the right.
Some WNBA players and media voices have tried every angle to downplay Caitlin Clark's success. They've called her overrated and even suggested she only gets attention because she's white. But here's the flaw in that argument. There have been plenty of white WNBA players before Caitlin Clark, and none of them made the same kind of impact. So, what makes Caitlin Clark different? If her popularity was purely about race, then why didn't the WNBA experience a surge when players like Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi, or Sabrina Ionescu were in their prime? They were all incredible talents, white players who never drew the kind of attention Caitlin Clark has. The truth is, Caitlin Clark's appeal goes far beyond basketball. Her game is electrifying. The deep three-pointers she sinks are jaw-dropping. Her ability to run the floor, make impossible passes, and score from anywhere makes her a must-watch player. Her critics conveniently overlook this because they don't want to acknowledge what's really happening. Caitlin Clark isn't just good, she's revolutionary, and it's not limited to basketball. Caitlin Clark's influence stretches beyond sports. She's not just a basketball star, she's a cultural phenomenon.
Caitlin Clark is going to spend all of next season playing in NBA arenas. We've got rival fans being furious that, you know, Caitlin Clark is that she's getting new arenas, getting moved to new arenas. You've got people saying that they're pushing the fever. Why are they pushing the fever?
Caitlin Clark isn't just making waves, she's flooding the league. WNBA franchises are practically abandoning their home courts like they've been hit with a fire alarm that says, Caitlin's coming. Teams like Atlanta, Chicago, Connecticut, Dallas, Las Vegas, and Washington, D.C. are all scrambling to larger venues just to handle the Clark impact. Meanwhile, Angel Reese is probably doom-scrolling, wondering why her name isn't splashed across those massive billboards.
One thing is very clear. The Indiana Fever is America's team. And boy, the haters, by the time this season is over, their heads are going to have exploded already. They're going to be so angry by the end of this WNBA season. I mean, it's going to be hilarious watching the daily meltdown.
Take a moment to absorb this. WNBA teams are willingly leaving behind their cherished home courts to make room for one rookie phenom. This isn't hype. This is history in the making. 6 different franchises are moving their games to NBA arenas, meaning every Indiana Fever road game is now played in a venue with at least 15,000 seats. This isn't about following a trend. It's because Caitlin Clark has the kind of draw that fills arenas like no one else in the league. While some teams are still playing in what feel like converted gymnasiums, Caitlin's impact demands NBA-level venues. That's the kind of territory reserved for superstars.
That there are 6 WNBA teams that have moved their games to NBA or NBA size arenas.
Let's not kid ourselves. These aren't just slightly larger gymnasiums. These are full-blown arena upgrades. The Atlanta Dream are stepping up to the State Farm Arena. The Chicago Sky, yes, the same team that once treated Angel Reese like the second coming of Michael Jordan, are now dialing it back with 2 games at the United Center. And it's not for Reese, it's for Clark. Because unless the Indiana Fever are in town, Reese might as well be playing at a local community center. Even the Aces, with their glitz and trophies, are booking the T-Mobile Arena just to prepare for the Fever frenzy.
Caitlin Clark, the people's champion! Let's get it!
That's a deep one.
Bang!
Just announced that Caitlin Clark and the Fever will be playing 41 of 44 games this year on national TV. They're coming to watch the other girl, right? Right?
Bang!
Teams are moving their games with the Fever to NBA arenas so they can sell more tickets. How about that?
Bang!
Angel Reese attempted a 3 this deep. I think she might dislocate her shoulder.
Bang!
You want some butter with that bread? Butter. Butter.
Butter pecan! Bang!
It's honestly hilarious when you think about it. Just last season, these teams were all acting like Caitlin Clark was just another rookie. "We don't need her," they boasted, chests puffed. "The league is fine without her." And now, here we are. The same teams are practically begging for court space big enough to accommodate the Clark crowds. It's not just about rolling out the red carpet anymore. It's like tearing up the road and rebuilding it with gold bricks.
Atlanta Dream moved 1 game to the State Farm Arena. Chicago Sky moved 2 games to the United Center. Home of the Bulls, home of the Blackhawks. In Atlanta, by the way, that's the home of the Hawks. Connecticut Sun moved 1 game to TD Garden. Home of the NBA Celtics. That's going to look really freaking cool on TV.
Special shout out to Connecticut. This franchise doesn't even have an NBA arena nearby. So what do? They pack up and move the whole operation to Boston. Yep, new state, new zip code, new everything, just to make room for Caitlin Clark. That's not just special treatment, that's royalty-level hospitality. Can you imagine if Angel Reese tried to pull the same stunt? They'd probably laugh her all the way to some suburban middle school gym.
We're now at the stage where Caitlin Clark is probably going to be responsible. I'm not joking when I say this. For like games where she plays in are probably going to be responsible for like 30% of the attendance in the WNBA.
And it doesn't stop there. The Dallas Wings and Washington Mystics are also moving their Clark matchups to larger venues, complete with extra seating, luxury suites, and, let's face it, bigger profit margins. This isn't a coincidence, it's strategic planning. When Caitlin Clark rolls into town, it's not just a game, it's an economic boom. One ESPN analyst even dubbed her the WNBA's walking GDP boost. He meant it as a joke, but honestly, the numbers speak for themselves.
There are teams that are going to average 3,000 fans at games, but have 17,000 fans when Caitlin Clark shows up to town with the Fever.
Now, let's check in on the critics. The same ones who were screaming from the rooftops that Clark was overhyped have suddenly gone awfully quiet. Why? Because their arenas are packed, their jerseys are flying off the shelves, and their TV ratings are through the roof. All thanks to the player they once claimed didn't matter. And as for Angel Reese, she's still stewing over her not-so-unrivaled championship, watching Caitlin dominate the spotlight, the schedule, and the arenas.
The Phoenix Mercury play in the NBA arena. The Seattle Storm do. There are 13 WNBA teams, 7 already playing NBA arenas. The other 6 are moving their games to NBA arenas versus the Fever. You can't acknowledge that she is the needle mover. Yeah.
Before Caitlin Clark hit the WNBA, the average game barely drew 6,000 fans, about as many as you'd see at a high school pep rally. But Clark? She's effortlessly filling 20,000-seat arenas like it's no big deal. That's not just an increase, that's triple the usual turnout. These fans aren't there for the home team, they're showing up for her. WNBA execs are practically falling over themselves, openly admitting they'd give up home court advantage just to cash in on the Clark phenomenon. That's not hype. That's a walking ATM and sneakers.
I believe there was actually a debate on who was Rookie of the Year last year. Imagine being that delusional. Bang! People need to understand she saved this league. Powder, there's no TV deals, no ad sponsorships, heck, no shoe deals for you, Angel Reese, no McDonald's money. The league losing millions of dollars each year. She saved them from bankruptcy. Time to be grateful. Bang! 93% of her games on national TV. She's like that. Bang!
Let's talk numbers. WNBA attendance shot up by 48% last season, and unless your math is off, that increase has Caitlin Clark's name written all over it. Teams aren't just scheduling her games, they're building their entire season around her appearances. The Las Vegas Aces, the same team that snickers whenever Clark's name trends, have quietly moved multiple games to the T-Mobile Arena. Why? Because they know the Caitlin effect is the real MVP. All the eye rolls and cryptic tweets aside, even they can't deny she's the main attraction.
Now we've got some more information on the games and some perspective. Here we are. Indiana Fever put this out, man, just a few minutes ago. All eyes on us. 41 of our 44 games are on national television.
Now, here's where it gets wild. Caitlin Clark has secured 41 nationally televised games this season. That's not just more airtime than any other player. It's more than entire franchises have had in years. We're talking ESPN, ABC, CBS, NBA TV. Every network wants a piece of the Clark action. It's a broadcast feeding frenzy, and trust me, no one's settling for leftovers.
The most television games in franchise history, the most national television games in for a single team in WNBA history. How about that?
Last season, the Indiana Fever were basically an afterthought. They were the dusty book collecting cobwebs on the bottom shelf, overlooked and forgotten. But with Caitlin Clark in the mix, they've transformed into the league's golden child, now the star attraction in every primetime slot. The same team that struggled at the bottom of the standings is now the crown jewel of WNBA coverage. And you know that's stinging players like Angel Reese. For years, they assumed the throne was just waiting for them. But then Caitlin Clark shows up, shattering records, drawing massive ratings, and showing off a range that leaves everyone in the dust. Suddenly, it's her show, and the spotlight's all hers.
Also, Complex has put out their 10 most influential women in sports. And Angel Reese is not going to like this because, well, she got beaten by Caitlin Clark for number one.
Caitlin Clark did it again. As if shattering records on the court wasn't enough, she just scored another huge victory without even having to tie up her sneakers. Complex just crowned her the most influential female athlete, solidifying her place as the biggest name in sports at the moment. And the best part? She edged out Angel Reese, who, predictably, isn't taking it too well.
So, it's been hard for me, but adjusting and just kind of have that mindset of just moving on has been something I try to give myself a little bit of grace.
That's right. While Clark is out here racking up awards, growing the game, and making history, Reese is busy scrambling for excuses, pretending like this honor doesn't matter. But let's be honest, if Reese had won, we'd never hear the end of it. Instead of celebrating someone else's success, she's doing what she does best, downplaying Clark's accomplishments while spending more time on TikTok than in the gym.
Announcing the top 10 most influential athletes right now. These athletes are reshaping culture. Caitlin Clark, check. Breaking records. Caitlin Clark, check. Proving their impact goes far beyond the game, from sold-out arenas to game-changing moves in business and fashion. These women are leading the way. If this is a top 10 list, then sitting on the top of that list, there's only one right answer. There's only one correct choice.
Let's set the record straight. This isn't just about an award. It's about who the fans are really backing. One player has everyone tuning in for her mind-blowing talent, and the other, well, she's famous for making headlines for everything but basketball. Some see this as a rivalry, but let's be real. It's not much of a competition when one player is actually winning.
What is your stance on that? So my whole thing was like, when I got drafted, number 7. So I'm like, cool. Like, the pressure is not even on me because I'm drafted 7, so the pressure shouldn't be up there. So I'm like, all right, cool. I can just hoop. So I'm like, all right, cool.
It's because you started killing it.
Well, yeah.
And they're like, oh,
I'm still a rookie. I'm still figuring it out. Trying to figure things out.
All right, let's break it all down. Why did Clark take home this award? What makes her influence so undeniable? And most importantly, why is Angel Reese acting like she got robbed? We're about to dive into the numbers, the impact, and the hilarious aftermath.
And Angel Reese is not going to like this because, well, she got beaten by Caitlin Clark for number 1. Yeah, so we're going to take a look at that. I think it's hilarious. I will tell you right off the bat, I don't believe there's a singular world, where Angel Reese should be ahead of Simone Biles either. There, I put that out loud.
Caitlin Clark didn't just break records, she obliterated them. 62 records shattered in a single season. Let that sink in. This isn't just about making history, it's about rewriting the entire record book. No player in WNBA history has ever dominated like this, and we're only in year 1.
My expectation is to be one of the best players in the world one day. I wouldn't expect anything less than that.
More history for the FIBA rookie.
At this point, continue to be myself, and I think a lot of good will come from that.
But here's where it gets even crazier. Clark didn't just put up insane numbers, she actually changed the trajectory of an entire franchise. Before she showed up, the Indiana Fever were stuck at the bottom of the league, barely staying relevant. Then Caitlin Clark walked in, and boom, they made the playoffs for the first time in nearly a decade. That's not just individual greatness, that's team-changing dominance.
The woman who's been putting women's basketball on her back for the better part of 3 years now. These athletes are reshaping culture. Caitlin Clark has men watching women's basketball.
Let's talk off-court impact, because this is where Clark leaves the so-called rivals in the dust. WNBA merch sales shot up 500% in her rookie season. Yes, 500%. Jerseys, t-shirts, memorabilia, everything was flying off the shelves. Meanwhile, Reese's jerseys? Just sitting there collecting dust while Clark's sold out in minutes.
This is a phenomenon. Caitlin Clark is a phenomenon.
This isn't just about jersey sales. Clark's influence is shaking up the whole league's economy. Viewership is through the roof. Arenas that once struggled to fill seats are now packed, but only when Clark's in town. Teams that used to beg for fans are now scrambling to expand seating to keep up with the demand.
So that's what they got on her. Caitlin Clark, she ran away with number 1. I don't think that should surprise us. She came away with number 1. Caitlin Clark is redefining the entire landscape of women's sports. That's right. Her dominance on the court has shattered outdated narratives about women's sports, proving that women's basketball can be just as marketable and widely watched as men's. But the Caitlin Clark effect goes far beyond her performance. It's reshaping the entire sports landscape. Clark's impact is undeniable. Her presence alone boosts the WNBA attendance by 105%.
Even sports economists are stunned by Clark's impact. Thayer Lavielle, a top name in sports business, called her a lightning rod for women's basketball, comparing her to Michael Jordan for how she's boosting the game's visibility and value. And honestly, she's spot on.
Because when we went to the WNBA games and we went to go watch Caitlin Clark when they came to play the Washington Mystics in DC, and they shut that they had to move the game from the Washington Mystics WNBA arena to the actual Washington arena where the Wizards played, and it was packed. It was sold out for people to see Caitlin Clark. That did not happen the day before that when they went to Chicago to play Angel Reese.
Let's talk real numbers. Clark's rookie season alone raked in a jaw-dropping $36 million for Indianapolis. Just one player did that, and it's only the start. Experts predict her rise will boost women's basketball's value by $1.6 billion over the next 3 years. Yes, billion with a B.
I'm going to look at this the way I did with Michael Jordan. Now, she's not the Michael Jordan of her sport as far as athleticism, playing, dominating. But A'ja Wilson is the best player in the game. Not even a debate. But I'm talking about value now. Value to a franchise, value to a league, getting your team in the playoffs. They had the number 1 pick. They were the worst team last year. And there is value that I can attach to that.
So what does all this mean? Caitlin Clark isn't just a superstar, she's a movement. She's doing more than dominating on the court. She's reshaping the entire league's future, bringing in new fans, generating massive revenue, and making women's basketball must-watch TV.
I'm talking about value. Michael Jordan was the most valuable player every single year because of what he meant to his team and what he meant to the league. And, oh, by the way, winning 6 titles. Can't argue with that. Caitlin Clark may not win titles. Las Vegas is still a great team. But the fact that she is doing what she's doing and at a very high level, you know, it's now commonplace where she'll go for 26 and 12. I mean, those are great numbers for any player, no matter how long you've been in the league.
Meanwhile, Angel Reese is still sitting there trying to figure out why she wasn't named most influential. Maybe if she spent more time working on her game and less time complaining on social media, she'd get that this is about sports.
This is about sports. This is about athletic ability. You know what I'm saying? And when you look at Caitlin Clark's game, who's very reminiscent of a Steph Curry based on her range and shooting the 3, plus everything else she does. And then you look at Angel Reese, stop it. Stop it. There's a dude on the internet who cracks me up on TikTok. He's put together a shitload of Angel Reese clips, and it'll say Angel Reese part 36. And it goes, Angel Reese going up for another layup. She misses, bang! And I mean, dude, it's the funniest shit. And my whole thing is this, dude. She just seems as uncoordinated as a baby giraffe.
Caitlin Clark's journey to these awards might seem like a done deal, but the real story is way bigger. Remember Angel Reese? She was hyped as Clark's biggest competition, with the media pushing this so-called rivalry. It was framed as the ultimate showdown, a season-long battle that had fans hooked. But let's be real, was it ever really close?
Saying Angel Reese is better than Caitlin Clark is saying Rodman was better than Michael Jordan, or Ben Wallace was better than Kobe, or even Andre Drummond was better than LeBron. And I shouldn't have to point out that Angel Reese is actually a poor defender.
From the jump, the media pushed the narrative of 2 rookies battling for WNBA supremacy. But as the season went on, the gap became painfully clear. This wasn't a duel of equals. It was one player dominating the league, while the other spent more time in the headlines than in the box scores.
Oh, Reese, 3-on-3, part 13, let's get it!
Classic long 2.
Bang!
PSA, no rims or backboards were harmed during the filming of this video. But viewers are encouraged to look away.
Bang!
What?
Bang!
I heard her say that she might sit out if the WNBA doesn't pay her what she deserves. I say $1 million for every missed layup is fair.
Bang!
They are stat petting queen properly. Fair wages for all. I repeat, fair wages. Remember, they're coming to see her.
Long 2, butter pecan, burst!
Then came Rookie of the Year and First Team All-WNBA, and that's when it all came to light. Clark didn't just win, she ran away with it. The so-called competition wasn't even close. As for Reese, she wasn't exactly graceful in defeat. Instead of congratulating Clark, she hit social media to claim Clark didn't deserve the honor. Imagine losing a race by a mile and then demanding a recount.
But her attention, her notoriety is based off Caitlin Clark. Because she wins the national title, first thing she does, she mocks Caitlin Clark. And then she doesn't even celebrate with her teammates. So she's made it personal with Caitlin Clark. Then she's played off of that.
But here's the real kicker. Clark's success isn't about trophies or petty rivalries. She's not out here chasing awards. She's revolutionizing the WNBA. Her impact goes far beyond basketball. She's expanding the game, shattering attendance records, and bringing in millions of new fans. Meanwhile, Reese is stuck trying to convince everyone she belongs in the same conversation as Clark. The difference? Clark is changing the game. Reese is just trying to catch up.
Thank you. I can't wait to give this to my girlfriend.
You don't have a girlfriend, Mike.
If you thought Caitlin Clark was simply a deadly sharpshooter with an intense competitive spirit, think again. She's also a comedy mastermind. From roasting her teammates to delivering perfect one-liners and pulling off surprising antics, Clark knows how to keep the laughs coming. Now, let's dive into 10 of Caitlin Clark's funniest moments that had everyone in stitches. Kicking things off is the time Caitlin Clark made an appearance on SNL's Weekend Update. What made this moment so funny and entertaining was that Caitlin came fully prepared with her own jokes written down. It was a hilarious scene, giving the audience and fans a chance to see her comedic side. Michael also delivered an absolutely perfect introduction to Clark, adding to the laughter.
The University of Iowa announced that basketball star Caitlin Clark will have her jersey retired and replaced with an apron. Well, the WNBA draft is this Monday, and Iowa star Caitlin Clark is expected to be the #1 pick. Here to comment is Caitlin Clark.
The audience absolutely loved having Clark in the spotlight, and things got even funnier when Caitlin Clark fired back at Michael's earlier joke by asking him to read some of the jokes she had written herself. The exchange took the humor to a whole new level.
This year, Caitlin Clark broke the record for three-pointers in a single season, and I have three-pointers for Michael Che. 1B, 2 funnier, 3...
To wrap up the segment, Caitlin Clark took it up a notch by handing Michael an apron, a nod to his earlier joke when he introduced her to the show. The timing was perfect, and she even took the opportunity to roast Michael a little more, adding another layer of comedy to the moment.
Since you're such a big fan, I brought you a souvenir. It's an apron signed by me.
Thank you. I can't wait to give this to my girlfriend.
You don't have a girlfriend, Mike.
All right. Caitlin Clark, everybody!
At this point, the crowd was absolutely roaring with laughter. The whole exchange only added to the humor, showcasing just how funny and entertaining Caitlin Clark really is. Moving on to number 2, aside from those times when she came prepared with jokes, Clark has had plenty of moments where she cracked a joke off the cuff, leaving everyone in stitches with her spontaneous humor. Like that one time, she tried to make a wordplay joke about cheetahs.
Caitlin, pits of your soul, you're a comedian. Do you have any updated jokes for me?
Why don't they take tests at the zoo? There's too many cheetahs.
What made it even funnier was the way the reporter just stood there, totally dazed and amused, while Clark couldn't help but laugh and smile, fully aware of how mischievous and hilarious the moment was. Now, moving on to number 3, Caitlin Clark doesn't keep her jokes limited to interviews. She's also a pro at the friendly roast. During one interview, the WNBA star was on the court when the reporter decided to test their own shooting skills.
I think you have to go now. Come on. Let's see if you can get it there.
Two more. I have no legs, so I can come in here.
No, I feel confident. Let's see.
I'm wearing this jacket.
Oh.
Ugh,
That's
terrible.
not bad. Get it there.
Oh my God.
You gotta jump.
Even though Clark tried to be supportive, she just couldn't help but laugh and throw in a few playful jabs. And when the reporter tried to blame his terrible shooting on his dress clothes and the tight rims, Caitlin wasn't about to let him off the hook that easily.
Tight rims, I'm telling you.
No, I think that might just be you, honestly.
This moment just made Clark even more lovable thanks to her hilarious personality. Coming in at number 4, another unforgettable moment that had everyone buzzing about Caitlin Clark's mischievous side was her visit to a goat petting zoo with her teammates. Watching Clark feed the baby goats quickly turned into pure entertainment, and naturally, she turned the whole thing into her own personal comedy show.
All right, relax. Everybody don't fight.
fight over me. Don't fight over me, okay? Wait, I don't remember who I bet.
Fans love seeing Caitlin and her teammates bond over something other than basketball. But the real comedy came from the fans themselves, who couldn't resist making the perfect joke: the goat feeding goats. Now, halfway through at number 5, Caitlin Clark's easygoing and cheerful nature really shines when she's around her teammates, both on and off the court. Her bond with Lexi Hull is especially fun to watch. One particularly funny moment happened during an interview when Lexi was answering a question, only for Caitlin to interrupt with a burst of childish laughter at something Lexi said.
What was your intent there to try to make an impact as well as you did tonight?
Thank you. I would say that's kind of my role.
Respectful.
Caitlin Clark's reaction to Lexi Hull's innocent comment had the entire room in stitches.
And take advantage of that. Caitlin? Yeah. We're done. Oh,
Coming in at number 6, Caitlin Clark and Lexi Hull's dynamic duo wasn't just reserved for the court. The two had fans cracking up once again when they pulled up to a Swig drive-thru to grab some fruit and soda drinks.
Playing with vanilla cream instead of coconut cream. Can I have the beach babe too, please?
What made this even more interesting was that Clark was immediately recognized. But when the friendly lady asked if she was really Caitlin Clark, Clark responded with a mischievous grin.
You're Caitlin Clark, right? Maybe.
After being recognized, the owner gifted them golden mugs, guaranteeing them free refills whenever they came back.
Golden mug I want to give you. Golden mug means every time you come through Swig, you just get a free refill.
He said he was going to give us golden mugs. So we'll be back. Yeah.
At number 7, one thing that stands out about Caitlin Clark is how her teammates not only recognize her playful side, but also encourage it. Of course, sometimes they have to step in to keep her focused, like that time during warm-ups when Katie Lou got the best of Clark, locking in a submission and making her tap out. The whole team couldn't stop laughing. This was a hilarious moment that perfectly captured the fun and bond the team shares. Caitlin later opened up about it, admitting that she can be a bit of a child sometimes with how playful she gets.
She's just she's a kid sometimes, and keeps everything light, but sometimes you gotta put her in place.
Coming in at number 8, Caitlin Clark's humor isn't confined to basketball. She can turn anything into a comedy show. In one unforgettable moment, Lexi Hull caught Clark delivering a full play-by-play commentary on a Philly baseball game.
And that ball's hit to the shortstop. Rojas throws it over to first base, and that's not going to be enough.
The video quickly went viral, perfectly capturing how effortlessly hilarious and entertaining Clark can be. Watching her switch from WNBA star to baseball commentator had fans in stitches.
The Phillies leading 1-0. We'll be back in a minute with a 30-second break.
It was such a viral moment that it even landed Clark an invitation.
The Phillies have taken her up on her offer to broadcast a game.
At number 9, Caitlin Clark's humor isn't just for her teammates. It extends to her family and friends as well. A perfect example of this is her hilarious moments with her boyfriend, Connor. The two have shared some truly funny interactions.
I just want to sleep for like 3 weeks straight after the season's over.
You want to sleep for 3 weeks straight during the season?
That too. I love sleeping. It's awesome.
The thing about Caitlin is how she'll enthusiastically praise and appreciate Connor for being supportive. But she doesn't hesitate to throw friendly jabs at him, even during interviews. Like that time she casually mentioned that in a shooting competition, she outshoots him every time.
Having some shooting competitions, it gets a little heated. I definitely outshoot him way more than he outshoots me, but he tries to think otherwise.
And finally, at number 10, Caitlin Clark's playful and competitive spirit isn't just for her teammates and friends. It shines through in her family moments too. Her close bond with her family is filled with hilarious exchanges, but one of the best was when she got fouled and started complaining about it, only for her dad to shut it down with a classic, stop complaining response.
Move, and if they're open, she will find them. Martin commits the foul.
And that wraps up our list of Caitlin Clark's funniest moments. From her sharp wit to her playful antics, she never fails to entertain, both on and off the court. Whether she's cracking jokes, roasting teammates, or turning everyday moments into comedy gold, Caitlin proves she's not just a basketball star, she's a natural entertainer. If you enjoyed this compilation, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more fun and unforgettable Caitlin Clark moments.
Please welcome to the show, Caitlin Clark. Caitlin, did you ever
What's
think
up,
you'd
guys?
be back? Cheers.
Excited to be
Cheers.
back. Don't worry. I got this nice throwback Gatorade can.
Well played.
Caitlin Clark just surprised everyone in a way no one expected, doing it live on Zoom during an unfiltered interview with WNBA icons Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi. From the moment she appeared on screen, it was obvious this wouldn't be your usual heartwarming segment. It was unvarnished, authentic, and gave a behind-the-scenes look at everything from her transition to the WNBA, to locker room gossip, to the intense rivalries in those tough college games. And, of course, it all came with Caitlin's trademark wit and charisma.
Product placement.
There we
Will
go.
Our show loves it. Our show loves it.
So, what exactly did Caitlin Clark spill, and why is the basketball world buzzing? Stick around, because Caitlin didn't hold back on a lot of juicy details. Everything from Paige Beckers to Diana Taurasi, and even calling out the unfounded rumors Cheryl Swoops has been spreading about the team. Ready for it? Let's dive in. It was the moment that shook the internet. 1 year ago, Diana Taurasi stared into the camera and delivered a now iconic warning to Caitlin Clark. Reality is coming. Remember that?
What will the league have in store for them when they get there?
Look, SVP, reality is coming.
Okay.
There's levels to this thing, and that's just life. We all went through it.
Of course.
And you see it on the NBA side, and you're going to see it on this side, where, you look superhuman playing against 18-year-olds, but you're going to come with some grown women that have been playing professional basketball for a long time.
Fast forward to this year, and let's just say Diana's words didn't quite hold up. Caitlin's response? A sly smirk, a slight nod, and a confident smile. The vibe was electric, sharp, playful, and full of wit. But don't be fooled, it was also a statement.
Congrats on your retirement, D.
Thank you.
And congrats.
Now, unfortunately,
Well,
reality
thanks.
is coming to me now.
What's your big plans?
in early.
What are you going to do?
I keep telling Sue I thought I was going to have all this time to do all these things. I'm more busy now. So if I give you any advice, play as long as possible.
We'll see. We'll get to 10 years. Then we'll think about it.
It's 10 years.
For Diana Taurasi, sharing the court with Caitlin Clark wasn't just another game, it was a moment for the ages. Looking back on their first matchup in Phoenix, Taurasi didn't mince words about the atmosphere. It felt like the last game that was ever going to be played. The crowd was electric, the hype was real, and it wasn't just about basketball. It was about seeing a torch being passed right before our eyes, she shared. Diana spoke with deep respect, reflecting on how surreal it was to finally face the players she'd been watching dominate college basketball for years.
What was it like for you two to play against each other?
It was amazing. I've been following Caitlin for so long and been watching her college career just in awe. And to be on the court and, the first game was in Phoenix and it felt like the last game that was ever going to be played. There was such anticipation. The crowd was going crazy. All the people that came out to see Caitlin and our teams play against each other. It really was an amazing moment. And you talked about how, if you could play against anyone that is this new generation. So I got to cross paths with Caitlin, at least for a couple games. And to me, that meant a lot,
Caitlin's perspective? Just as classy, but with her signature edge. She remembered that Phoenix game too. Except for her, it was personal. We were down by like 10 or 15 and came all the way back to win, she recalled, pride clear in her voice. That comeback wasn't just another line on the scoreboard, it was a defining moment for her and her team. battling against a legend like Taurasi and coming out victorious? That's the kind of experience that builds confidence, and Caitlin made sure everyone knew it.
And what it was like to play against Dee.
Well, I was saying, that game in Phoenix, because we only played in Phoenix one time, and it was before Olympic break. Obviously, we had All-Star there too, but it was a great game. Honestly, I'm pretty sure we were down 10 or 15 and came all the way back and won. That was our first win versus a team that was above 500. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Beneath all the fierce competition, there was a deep mutual respect. The moment transcended being just another game. It became a clash of eras, unfolding right before our eyes. While Caitlin and Diana might be at different points in their careers, the impact they're both having, that's something that will last forever. As they laughed and joked about the experience, it was clear. This wasn't just playful banter, it was basketball's past and future coming together in perfect harmony.
Caitlin, how excited are you for this next WNBA season? New head coach and Stephanie White. You added Natasha Howard, who knows really well, DeWanna Bonner, which I know really well, Sophie Cunningham. I mean, it seems like, from the outside, this roster's ready to compete now, which is easy for us to say. We know there's a process to get there, but when you see that and you see those names come in, what does that make you feel like?
Caitlin Clark is heading into the new WNBA season with more than just momentum. She's bringing the heat. When talking about her revamped roster, her excitement was impossible to miss. With new head coach Stephanie White, seasoned veterans like Natasha Howard and DeWanna Bonner, sharpshooters like Sophie Cunningham, and defensive powerhouses like Sydney Colson and Brianna Turner, Caitlin knows the talent on her team. But she's also aware of the challenges ahead. With 7 new players and a tight timeline to build chemistry, Caitlin's already in full figure-it-out mode, and she's ready to tackle it head-on.
Oh, well, obviously on paper we have a really good team, but, you only have, we start training camp, I think, on the 27th, and then, we have a back-to-back of preseason games on May 3rd and May 4th. So it's you have a very short amount of time to put that together, and 7 new pieces, and whether we carry 11 or 12, more than half of our roster, that's a hard thing within itself, but we should be pretty good. And I'm excited about it. I think what we needed was, we added a lot more experience. In the playoffs, we just didn't have that. We were a young group.
And it's not just her mental game that's been getting stronger, her physical game has leveled up too. When asked about that viral off-season photo where her arms looked noticeably more defined, Caitlin couldn't help but laugh.
And there was the viral picture that went around showing off your guns. Everyone's wondering, have you been hitting the weight room? Was it the camera angle? What happened?
How did you do that? I've been trying to do that for 20 years.
AI is getting out of control. Come on.
Caitlin Clark wasn't just hitting the weight room to look good in a photo. She was preparing to become an even more dominant force on the court. Every hour spent in the gym was about strengthening her body to match her fierce mentality. It wasn't just about bulking up. It was about becoming more powerful, more relentless, and untouchable when the game was on the line. But Caitlin didn't stop at physical strength. She refined her entire skill set. She focused on adding a floater to her arsenal, powering through contact at the rim, and mastering the mid-range game. This wasn't casual training. It was a deliberate plan to evolve into an unguardable offensive weapon. Caitlin isn't just preparing to keep up with the competition, she's training to take over. Every move, every shot, was with the intention of dominating in ways we've never seen before.